Guys, let's talk gear. First guitar I've got to show off is my 52 style Telecaster. So this is modelled on a 1952 style Telecaster when they first came out. They were actually called No-Casters. They didn't have the Telecaster brand name. So they're really, really old school sounding. They're really like Rolling Stones-esque, or like country and blues. So they're very, very spanky guitars. But I also like the really clean tones you get from them. They're really very pure in sound. 2 single coil pickups, volume and tone, and that's it. Nothing really fancy about this guitar. I got it second hand a couple of years ago from a shop in Scotland, and the owner before me actually done a couple of things to it which were really nice. They sanded the neck down so you can't see. The neck is completely bare down to the wood. This feels really, really shiny, and this just feels like an actual tree. This is by far my most beat up guitar. This is because I just play it all the time, I suppose. This is my John Mayer signature model Stratocaster. There's a bunch of dings on this guitar. You can see a nice one here that I got a couple of weeks back. I was very sad, and also all the way down near the butt. I took this guitar gigging about twice a week for 4 years, and it just accumulated more and more battle scars. Not only that, the frets are really, really worn down now. I don't know if anyone knows this, but when you bend on a guitar, you're kind of rubbing away your frets the whole time, especially if you don't change your strings enough, like me. So, pro tip, if you don't want to refret your guitar every couple of years, like I have to do, and it costs a lot of money, then change your strings more often. But aside from that, it's a really, really nice guitar. It's got such a distinctive tone. The pickups are called Big Dipper pickups, and they have a lot more punch in the mid-range. It means it doesn't go smooth like my other instruments do. My yellow Telecaster, which we've already seen, is a very smooth guitar when you roll the tone off. When you roll the tone off here, you get a bit of smoothness. But not as much as the other instruments. So this is quite good if you need a punchy, gutsy sound. I bought this one second hand as well. Another pro tip, guys, if you want to buy a really, really nice instrument, buy second hand because you get a lot more bang for your buck. This was about £1,000 and it should have been 1,800. I don't know what that is in dollars for all you Americans. And I do not know what that is in euros for all you Europeans. On to the next one. Oh, by the way, this is my favourite guitar. It's just great. This is my sewer Stratocaster. And when I want the cleanest of the cleans, there goes my cat, and I want the smoothest tone possible, I go for this instrument. When you roll the tone off, this just sounds like butter. I actually paid more for this than any other instrument I've ever bought because I bought this one new, so I didn't get a good deal on it, if I'm honest. But I'm happy with it. I don't like this guitar as much when I'm putting distortion on things. I find my John Mayer Strat just takes it a little bit better, especially with those mid-range punch. This has a maple neck, just like my Telecaster and not like my John Mayer guitar. The John Mayer's got a rosewood neck, which means it's brown. This is a maple neck, so it's white, and the wood is much harder than the rosewood. So if you put your nail into a rosewood fretboard, you would be able to make a mark. Whereas if you put it into a maple neck, which is white like these, you would not make a mark. You'd probably just hurt your thumb. Moving on. I think this is my 1956 style P bass. I can't remember. This is a really, really nice bass if you like smooth sounds. It works really, really well for like Motown or anything like Anderson .Paak style.
Y'all niggas got me hot. Yeah. Nah, niggas got me hot.
Moving on. This is my acoustic, which I don't really use in videos very often, but I might use in recording for my own music. This is a Martin, fully acoustic, but it does have a pickup in the back, and oh, these strings really need changed. Have a listen. I used to play a lot of like Scottish traditional music. And I don't play as much of that anymore, but it's really nice having an instrument where I can. Moving on. I've got a couple of pedals to show you and then my DAW to explain, and that's about it. This is the first pedal that I really like to use. It's called a reverb machine, RV600. Yeah, it's not focusing on it, oh well. It's got a bunch of really cool reverbs on it that I use. I really like using that. The other thing that I really like to use is this. This is 10 years old. It's a Boss ME70, and I got this before I went to college to study music so that I could do my audition, and it just won't break, so I can't go and buy anything else. It's kind of like a all-in-one pedal board, so you don't really need to take anything else with you to the gig. You take this, and you've got 4 buttons to press: volume, distortion, weird effects like chorus, tremolo, flange, rotary, harmonist, octaver. The octaver is brilliant on it, and you've got a bit of delay on here as well. And then this pedal is your looper, but you can also set about 10 different delays. And one of the best things is that the looper can do an infinite function. So you see this at the end of my white Ferrari video. You also see it at the end of my Ghost Town by Kanye West video. They're called infinite loops because you can essentially make a loop up but continually add as many lines as you want, and it will always remember them, which is crazy. You can put literally 100 different elements of a loop on top of each other and it will never forget them, which is really, really cool. So I usually like making a big collage of sound doing that. If you've made it all the way through the video, you get to find out about how I record things. I put my guitar through a Scarlett interface and I go into an iMac, and on the iMac is a piece of software called Logic Pro X. Logic is just a DAW, a D-A-W. It's how you record music. What I do is I record on there and I put a lot of effects on the computer rather than, by pedals. So if I'm putting on a reverb and I can't find a reverb that I like on my pedal, I'll just do it on the DAW. I also get all of my amp sounds on there as well. I have 2 amps, I have an Egnator, and I also have a Fender Tweed, and I used to use them at the start of my videos. If you watch my first 20 videos, I used amps for the first 20, and then after that I started using a DAW, and it was so much better. You don't have to mic things up, you just plug straight in. Guys, that's all of my gear. Everything else is just my hands or some studio magic. If you're ever listening to something that I've been playing and you think, oh, I really wish I could sound like that, I oftentimes try to tell people not to try and emulate someone else's tone, but to try and find a tone that they like, because it's so much easier to make something you like rather than try to copy someone else's. If you try and sound exactly like someone else, you're going to be chasing that forever. You're better just trying to sound as good as you can. and that is usually with your instrument, using your amp, using your pedals, and trying to make that sound good, rather than trying to copy how someone else sounds. Copy their notes, copy how they play, but for tone, try and make sure you sound good to you. Okay guys, that's the end of the gear video. I'm actually gonna leave you with the end of my 2017 EP. If you like the sound of this, go and listen to it on Spotify. It's in the link below. Catch you later.